take that down a little bit.
Chances to win sweepstakes, plus the convenience of online banking and however, some of us give back in ways, partnership, acts of kindness, and thousands of Arizonans have already joined Desert Financial, located inside the Basin Walker.
And thank you to Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring this morning's Community Spotlight program right here on KRIM 96.3 FM. Chris Higgins in the studio. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday and beautiful weather out there today. High around 60 degrees. Oh my gosh, and sunny skies. We are so blessed up here in Rim Country. Well, this morning we have a couple guests in the studio that are going to tell us about a wonderful attraction here in Rim Country that maybe some of you have not been to yet or experienced, and that is the Rim Country Museum and Zane Gray Cabin. And in the studio this morning, I have Sandy Carson and Frank Tresnick. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Yeah, and you guys, Sandy, you are the president of the Rim Country.
Well, Northern Gila County Historical Society.
Thank you. There we go. Northern Gila County Historical Society.
Right.
Great. And that is the group that basically runs the museum?
We own and run the Rim Country Museum, Zane Gray Cabin.
Mm-hmm. And today, I invited both of you on today because it is a special day today. Someone's birthday.
Yeah.
And whose is that, Frank?
It is Zane Gray, a famous American author many of you may be familiar with. It would be his 150th birthday.
Wow.
Today.
Wow. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about Zane Gray and his, contributions to the Rim Country and, what he meant to the history of Rim Country, also the museum and the Northern Gila County Historical Society, and kind of a little bit more about them. But again, Zane Gray's birthday today, 150 years, since his birth. And a little bit, I guess, about Zane Gray. Sandy, if you want to share a little bit about him.
Well, Zane Gray first came to Rim Country in 1918.
Mm-hmm.
He had been to northern Arizona and so forth, but in 1918 he came from Altadena, California to Flagstaff, hired a hunting guide, and that man brought him down into this area here. And basically fell in love with the Rim to begin with. And as we were talking earlier, people here were living a pioneer existence in the 20s here, and that really, I think, took his fancy.
And one of the things I know we were talking about, Frank, before the program was his love for fishing.
Yeah, I think writing was maybe his number one passion, but fishing was 1A. It was right there with it. And he fished all over the world. Had many different ocean-going type fishing vessels and has records that still stand for different fish that he caught.
And it was interesting where he was from, there in Pennsylvania and right by the Delaware. So fishing in the Delaware, a little north of where I grew up in Pennsylvania, but still very interesting. And I'm sure all of the lakes here on the Rim, he must have loved all of the lakes that he could fish in. And
always had a fishing rod, yes.
Yeah, always.
Wherever he was, he fished.
Oh boy. So
and one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is his books, and he wrote 24 that took place in Arizona, 13 in Rim Country, were actually placed in spots that he had visited and would base the story around the people and the topography in the area. And so instead of it being just made up, they were real places.
Real people.
And
so he loved the stories they would tell because that's what makes his writing so resonant with people.
Yeah, relatable.
Yeah.
Very relatable. Well, Sandy, if you can tell us a little bit about the Northern Gila County Historical Society, because something you mentioned before the program, there are probably a lot of people that believe the museum and the cabin, they are owned by the town of Payson because they're in Green Valley Park, and that's a town park. But that is not the case, is it?
No, actually, it got started with a group of Marguerite Noble being our driving force in 1976. That was when it was first incorporated. Then it took them several years because that land down there was government property. That was the ranger station. They literally got an act of Congress passed, and we own 1.5 acres, I believe it is.
Wow.
And then it wasn't until 1990 that they were able to raise the money to build the Rim Country Museum, the 2-story museum that we have. And then, of course, the Zane Gray cabin was in 2005 when that was replicated there.
Wow, perseverance, persistence.
Exactly.
That's
Some of the people that came before us did an amazing job.
Yes, wow, to get that done. So again, the Zane Gray cabin, that replica of the cabin, and the museum, Rim Country Museum, are both owned by the Northern Gila County Historical Society and run by them, which is a 501c3, a nonprofit. It's not funded by the town, it's not owned by the town, but it's funded by members of the Historical Society and those who want to donate to that cause.
May I, just because the Zane Gray cabin was built by the Zane Gray Foundation. And I mention it because it was Dick Wolf who was the driving force behind that, and Dick just passed away.
Yes.
But then, I think it was like 2010 or so, I'd have to look at the paperwork, when that was turned over completely to the Historical Society.
Gotcha. Wow. Yeah, and it's a great place to learn about the history of Rim Country, and not just maybe going back 100 years or a couple hundred years, Frank, but you were saying going back to kind of the Native Americans and the first people in this area.
There were many people who resided in Rim Country here, even back into the 1100s. And Sandy, correct me if I'm wrong, but where they had established settlements and were here hundreds of years, and they might have migrated and moved on, and somebody else came in. So the various indigenous people had, I guess, a love. We always say, I think it was the Hohokam was one of the groups, and I said maybe they came here out of the valley for, out of the summer heat or something. You just never know.
You don't, and that's true. I mean, how much cooler it is up here than down in the valley in the desert. Yeah.
Well, and the environment was different back in 1200 here. I mean, there was more water and so forth. But it brings up another point. We actually own a lot up on Alpine Heights, which is the only remaining piece of what's known as Risser Ranch Ruin, which was occupied from about 1000 to about 1250 AD.
Wow.
It was a very large ruin, probably one of the biggest in the area, but mostly housing now.
Oh, gotcha. Wow, I didn't know that. So the museum is open to tours now. Again, it is back open, and had a remodel as well, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and so can you tell us about the tours and how people, the hours and...
Currently, we are open on Fridays and Saturdays from 10 to 4, and that is both for the museum tours and for tours of the Zane Gray cabin replica.
Okay.
The museum is self-guided, so if you have a little bit of time and you want to see it, you can do it. If you want to spend a lot of time, it is self-paced.
Gotcha.
But it really gives you a flavor for what life was like, what the pioneer experience was like, but also highlight some things that are unique to Payson, like the rodeo, and when the sawmill was in Payson, or as I mentioned earlier, when we used to have Payson Dew, famous moonshine that was made in this area and prized. But as I had said, a lot of people have interests or own horses, and we have a big blacksmithing exhibit. And one of our docents was there, and someone said, "Those tools look just like the farrier uses now," and it's the same thing.
Wow.
So and then as we were talking, one of our favorites is Julia Randall's Schoolhouse. So we've got a replication of what it was like with blackboards and slates for the kids to write on. And
It's been very popular.
it's very popular. Kids love to sit in the old desks. And we wanted to get rid of them when I was, many years ago, when we got to the new style of desks. But anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a lot of great history. Just a lot of great history.
And just for note, for Julia Randall's classroom, we actually have Julia Randall's piano and her teacher's desk.
Oh my goodness.
Definitely Julia's.
Yeah, and as we were talking, Rockin' Ron, who's in here, that was his aunt, Ron and Don Gibson, and they share so many entertaining stories about being a couple young whippersnappers and running around Payson and getting into a little mischief here and there. But you can see all of that in the photos. I think there's so many great photos as well of Payson,
Oh, yes.
old Payson, and the people in Payson at that time, what was happening. You guys have a lot of those, don't
We
you?
do. Everything from the rodeo on Main Street, and as Frank said, up to the sawmill and so forth, yes. We do.
And you mentioned, Frank, so when people, residents here in Payson or the Rim Country, when they have visitors that come in, this is a great place to take them on a Friday or Saturday.
Absolutely. Many people have an acquaintance with Zane Gray. And so either they've read his work or maybe they did years ago, but they still remember. And the cabin is a replica of what the cabin was like when Zane Gray first came there. And first time he used it was in 1921. So it's kind of taking a walk back in time. And people are just amazed at what he had built here. In Rim Country, and that for his use, and we go through more details about why he came here and what it was like and what he did and everything like that. The museum itself, I have to give credit to my fellow members on the board. They have done a wonderful job with all the renovations and new exhibits and everything that we did while the museum was closed because of the pandemic. And so if you've been there a couple of years ago, you really need to come back because it's that changed.
Wow, okay. And a project that you currently have going on, publishing Stan Brown's Rim Country Legends.
Right. People probably remember, if you've been here a long time, Stan Brown was actually an official town historian, wrote for the Roundup, Payson Roundup and so forth, and was involved with the museum. Several years ago, Stan basically gave us the rights to publish all of his books, and actually there's a number of them. But the most recent one is Rim Country Legends, and those are basically the reprints with some photos always added of the articles that appeared in Payson Roundup. And it's hot off the press. We actually just got it this week. So.
Oh wow! And that is for sale?
That is for sale. I think it's like $15 if I recall.
Gotcha. And you can get that there. And it, you also have books from other families and individuals in town.
Right, we have the Jinxon and Janie Pyle books, and a lot of the local authors and so forth. But generally, general Arizona history as well.
Oh no, that is great. Now with the renovation, and you said, Frank, people that have been to the museum even before the renovation, they really need to come back because of all the additions, all of the changes.
Not only additions, but takeouts. We actually took out some walls, and so it opened up the bottom floor.
Gotcha.
And oddly enough, wall space is good for exhibits, but actually I think it gave us more space to do some other types of things. So yeah, it's very different.
So you mentioned Miss Julia Randall's classroom, chalkboard, desk, everything in there. But then also a post office window. Now, you were saying maybe not the original, but
I'm
one of.
not sure exactly where the original post office might have been, but this came out of one of these stores that were on Main Street.
Uh-huh.
We actually have a photograph of it in use in like 1957.
Okay.
And it got just thrown into the dump, and somebody found it,
Uh-huh.
brought it in, and it's been out in our storeroom for years.
Uh-huh.
And then finally we decided, let's see if we can clean it up and put it
Wow.
up there.
So that is in there, along with an expanded Apache historical section with different items that have been added to that as well.
Well, it's, what it is actually prehistoric pots that the Tonto Apaches had.
Mhm. Gotcha.
And they gave them to us. And,
Oh.
and just to make sure, we do have provenance for them. They are legal. They
Mhm.
came from private land, but they are fantastic. There's about 36 of them. I think
Wow.
we have probably about 10 to 15 on exhibit at a time,
Mhm.
and they're just phenomenal,
Mm.
beautiful pots.
Wow. So as you had stated before, just history from all different like eras or time periods in the museum.
History goes back a long way here.
Yeah.
A very long way.
That it does. That it does. Again, talking with Sandy Carson and Frank Tresnick with the Northern Gila County Historical Society and Rim Country Museum and Zane Gray Cabin. And the museum and cabin open for tours, for guided tours or self-guided tours. You just want to go in and check it out. Friday and Saturdays from 10 to 4 p.m. And they have a really nice gift shop in there that you can get different items. And just recently got in Stan Brown's book, Rim Country Legends. So that is in there, along with books from other locals, Jinx and Jamie Pyle, and yeah, some other authors as well in the area.
If I can make a suggestion too,
Mhm.
it's another Stan Brown book, but tell them about the Rim Country Road Trip.
We actually, I've lost count of how many books that we've done for Stan Brown, but the one that we did just previous to that, it was Stan Brown's idea, and he never quite got that. So we took all of his information, we called it Rim Country Road Trip, and it's basically the Forest Road 300.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so all of the history, I mean, it's a tremendous amount of history along that road. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
we've put GPS coordinates and photos and information on, everything from Andres Moreno's grave, the Battle of Big Dry Wash,
Uh-huh.
the whole thing.
That is cool. So there's GPS coordinates in there, so you can be directed or led to the exact spot of those events.
It was fun to do.
I bet.
My wife and I drove on a Saturday to validate the coordinates that
Yeah.
we had on there.
Uh-huh.
The following Saturday, the road was closed because it snowed and it was done for the winter. So, yeah.
You got it just in
We
time.
got there. I couldn't wait.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun, and that's called Rim Country Road Trip
Mhm.
by Stan
And,
Brown.
it's really, it would be great for someone touring, or if you had family or friends that were in town,
Mhm.
because you can get to the sites, but it's not like you're taking a 25-mile hike.
Yes.
You can visualize, see, and if you've never driven the rim road,
Mhm.
it's a feast for your eyes. I
Mhm.
mean, if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
the driver, you have to be careful so you don't drive off.
Yeah, it's just like a big loop. Starts in Payson, goes all the way around,
Yep.
then comes back to Payson. So it's even got the paleo site on there, which
Hmm.
a lot of people don't know about, and
Yeah.
so forth.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a great loop. Taking the 300 road over to, Control Road there, Pine, Strawberry, and, or north of that, north of
Yeah.
Strawberry.
It ends up at Woods Canyon Lake.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah, past Potato Lake.
Yeah.
A little Potato Lake camping up there. Yeah, not that much of a lake.
No.
No.
Aptly named.
Yeah, aptly. I guess as impressive as a potato, which,
Yeah.
sorry potatoes, not super impressive. But, also want to talk a little bit about scholarships that the Northern Gila County Historical Society does.
We've been wanting to do a scholarship for years, and then a few years ago we actually got it started. And a gentleman named Don Gall,
Mm-hmm.
who had a house here in Payson, and anyway, his wife died a couple of years ago, and Don, being a very nice guy, he has pledged $50,000 over 5 years, and so we added that to the little bit that we did, and so we're up to 2 scholarships, and it's basically $2,000 to start with, but if you keep the grades up, it's another $2,000.
Nice.
And it's open to any sort of school, 4-year school, 2-year school, trade school.
Gotcha. And now you are taking applications for that?
If you go to our website, which is rimcountrymuseum.org,
Okay.
there is a link at the top of the page that opens a fillable form where
Okay.
you can apply for the scholarship.
Gotcha, and that's on rimcountrymuseum.org.
That's correct.
And I know that one of the members of the committee has made a special effort, and I don't know whether it's happened, but to be able to talk to the kids in the trade schools directly. And I believe they're gonna have the scholarship fair that they didn't have last year. And so we'll be there as well.
Wow.
So
So, with all of this being said, everything we talked about, it sounds like you guys are having a good time, having some fun down there at the
We do.
museum.
Yeah.
You do. So, can other people come down and have a good time too? Are you looking for maybe members or volunteers?
Well, membership is a great bargain because as a member you get access to the museum and some passes. So when you have your guests come in, and for a family, it's $35 a year. It's a bargain.
What? Really?
And so it's a great way to keep on top of what's going on. We do a quarterly newsletter, and it talks about things historical in nature or things upcoming for the museum. And if you have an interest in history or the Old West, we are always looking for volunteers. We're down since the pandemic. We used to be open 4 days a week, but our number of volunteers has dropped. So it's a 3-hour a week commitment, and not maybe every week, even every other or something. But if you have an interest in the background of the area, the history, we can help train you. I knew nothing when I came in and met with Sandy and Lisa, but we have a wealth of knowledge and resources that help you get up to speed. And I had never read a Zane Gray book before I started, and now I read 20, 25.
Wow, there you go. And I guess I should also mention, for those that are listening and maybe not familiar with the town, new to the town, but Green Valley Park is, and the museum is in Green Valley Park, but it's actually located at 700 South Green Valley Parkway. And again, open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 to 4. The phone number there is 928-474-3483. And memberships. Do people have to go in to get the membership, or can that be done through the website?
I believe
it's online.
It's online.
I believe it's online.
So rimcountrymuseum.org.
.org.
Wonderful. So again, that's where also if you're a young person or you have a child that you want them to apply for the scholarship, then you can go to rimcountrymuseum.org, or if you want to become a member of the Northern Gila County Historical Society. That's great. And volunteering, always looking for volunteers.
And on top of what Frank talked about, we do have what we call the archives, because every object, every photograph, whatever, it has to be cataloged and so on and so forth and kept track of. So always somebody who is detail oriented, which I am. Always, again, an eye out for somebody to work in that sort of thing if they don't feel like they want to do chores.
Yes, archiving, so cataloging, I guess, if you really enjoy that. Yeah, so maybe a former accountant.
Or librarian.
Or librarian. With Sandy, getting the finger pointed at you. So there we go. You can have fun. What is it? Flashbacks to the Dewey Decimal System. And,
I think that's gone now, isn't it?
Pardon?
Dewey Decimal System. Is that still used?
Probably schools are still using it, but moving to Library of Congress.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, thank you so much, Frank and Sandy, for
Thank
coming
you
in
for
today.
Well,
you're
you
so
for
welcome.
having us.
And again, the Rim Country Museum Zane Gray Cabin, open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 to 4 p.m. Whether it's just been a while since you've been in there, or if you haven't been in ever, really encourage you to stop in, and especially if you have guests or visitors coming here to the Rim Country and you're looking for something to do, that is a perfect afternoon or outing to the museum. So thank you again. Thank you everyone for listening and watching on the KRIM Facebook page and YouTube channel. And now it's time to get back to more great music with Pete Townsend, Steve Miller Band, Traveling Wilburys, and the Knack. But first, it's time for our weather from the National Weather Service.
Forecast for Payson and surrounding areas.
You want to know a
Forecast
little
Peter just
factoid?
Yes.
For today, mostly sunny skies.
Outside the ranger station is the official National Weather Service weather.
Oh, weather, really?
That, and they get it.
And yeah.
Years and years and years.
Yeah.
And finally that, a couple of other people tried to do it and they realized every day they do it. So anyway, that's where it is. So every day we read the weather, check the snow or the whatever. And it used to call it in and now we just put it in the computer. But it is the official.
The official, right there. Not, I know, I think the airport has, is it airport here? I don't know if the airport here does. Flagstaff does. But wow, so that's the official Payson
I
weather.
was working the museum the day after we had this huge rain, like about a month ago or whatever. So there's an official stick that goes down into the rain gauge to tell you how much. And I think we got 1.65 inches of rain in that 24 hours, And it's like, I've never seen that before. Usually it's like, nothing, zero.
Yeah, a lot of